Chapter 511, Mighty Divine Ape vs. God of Strength. Tungbi Fist. This was an ancient manifestation form of fist art that originated on Earth. It had been created during the feudal period, simulating the Tungbi ape. The Tungbi ape was one of the 4 chaotic world monkeys in Huaxia's myths and legends. The sun, moon, and mountains were all within its grasp. It could also tell right from wrong, fortune, and misfortune. The 4 monkeys were all very capable. However, the Tungbi ape was the one with the greatest strength, having the ability to turn the world over. Therefore, it was also called the Mighty Divine Ape. Right now, paired with the most suitable Tungbi fist, the moment Feng Lin attacked, he unleashed the Tungbi ape's strength to the greatest limits. His arms were extremely long and he didn't walk in a straight line, going against the law of physics and attacking from both sides. However, its speed didn't slow down at all. It broke through the sound barrier, only releasing sonic booms. The god of strength's draping blonde hair was blown about messily in the wind, and he couldn't open his eyes. He instinctively felt that this punch was very terrifying. One saber slaying the Lernean Hydra. He suddenly positioned his fist vertically upright, slashing down fiercely, quickly, and sharply. A sharp glow appeared on his palm, as if it was a blade with unrivaled sharpness that had chopped off the heads of the 9-headed Hydra with a single move. Dealing 9 chops with a single slash, slashing through everything. Fist as hammer. Hand chop as blade. God of Strength Cleese turned his hand chop, wanting to slash Feng Lin's wrist. However, Feng Lin had gained a lot of battle experience throughout his journey. How could he possibly give his opponent the chance to do that? He turned his fist and confronted the attack head-on. The God of Strength's blade-like attack also turned. Both of them had unrivaled physical bodies and used their hands as their weapons, performing all sorts of interesting moves. Although they didn't use any weapons, the spectators could see the gleams of blades in their attacks. They were so quick that no shadows could be seen. Their attacks were sweeping through the arena, bringing great astonishment. The fist shadows and blade light sent the surrounding rocks and dust flying up in the air. The entire place was in a state of chaos. Even the defensive shield in the arena was flickering from the impact. The spectators' hearts were all palpitating strongly. They were afraid that the duo's attacks would be too fierce, that the defensive shield would be shattered, wiping them out together. These weren't impossible. More people kept their eyes fixed on the arena. It was really rare to encounter a battle between elite adepts. It was not something you could see every day. Such collision of pure brute strength made them extremely astonished and speechless. Feng Lin exhaled out loudly, turning into the Tungbi ape and using the Tungbi fist. Strong forces flowed through his entire body, spurting out with the sound of tiger roaring and dragon howling. The sound of his fists was like that of thunder, as if he was in a state of frenzy. Bang bang bang. His punches landed on his opponent, causing the latter to keep being pushed back. The God of Strength didn't flicker either. His hand chop was like the wind, swinging and creating a series of afterimages, slashing down fiercely onto Feng Lin. The stone monkey body had the skin of copper and bones of steel. The intrinsic qualities hadn't changed. When the blade light slashed down on his skin, streams of sparks were released, as if the slash had landed onto a rock. However, there was a hidden force contained within it, causing Feng Lin to feel pain for quite a while. Mighty Divine Ape versus God of Strength. Neither of them had it good. However, it was also because of this that their ferocious nature had been stimulated, and they pounced forth even more violently. Subduing Cerberus. The God of Strength Cleese held his hands like claws, using the technique that was used to subdue the 3-headed hellhound, striking out toward Feng Lin's vital parts. As his fingers flicked, sharp forces swept out, creating dense claw marks in the surroundings. Even the 3-headed hellhound's heads would be locked under this claw attack, rendered unable to move. Golden monkey scooping up the moon. Feng Lin's body was upside down, emitting a leisure feeling. It was as if a golden monkey was hanging upside down on the tree, its long arms dangling as it tried to scoop out the moon in the water. The moon in the water could be seen but had no form. However, the claw was extremely fast. As it clawed out on the water surface, the water on its palm couldn't splatter out in time, and the moon was reflected in its palm. Both of them were struck concurrently. The claw tore out at Phong Lin's chest, creating many obvious white marks and releasing creaking sounds. The monkey's fists seemed slow but were actually fast. The punch landed on the god of strength's head, causing him to be struck by dizziness. Stealing the golden apple. Hammer hand. Lifting a crazed ox. Mountain splitter. Strength subduing Hippolyta. Universal manipulation. Mighty divine body. In Greek mythologies, the god of strength Heracles was the son of Zeus and had grown up drinking the milk of Hera, the queen of the gods. Due to this, he possessed extraordinary strength. He completed 12 missions, killing the Nemean lion and 9-headed Hydra, subdued the Amazonian queen Hippolyta, taken down the 3-headed hellhound Cerberus, stolen golden apples from the garden of the Hesperides. His last mission made him join the ranks of the gods, becoming the well-known god of strength in Greek mythology. The lotmg ape was one of the 4 chaotic world monkeys in Huaxia's mythologies. It jumped out of the 3 realms, wasn't within the 5 elements, and was born as a divinity. After 3 consecutive times, their exchanges were all evenly matched. The 2 of them broke apart and looked at each other. Their gazes were extremely solemn, but neither of them attacked again. Both of them knew that they were both people who had tempered their bodies to an extreme, and their battle techniques had reached a great limit. If they were to exchange attacks, they would be evenly matched and it would be hard for the victor to be decided. Since that was the case, then there was only, "Do you dare to wrestle me?" God of Strength Kleesa's eyes were glaring fiercely and he let out a loud bellow, sending out a challenge. Phong Lin's eyes narrowed. The heart monkey could go through a myriad of changes. Brute force wasn't his only ability. He could transform into the Fuxi mythological form and control the universe's 5 elements and 8 trigrams, borrowing powers of the universe to suppress his opponent. Facing such heavenly might, even the god of strength Klees would be subdued regardless of how great his strength was. However, if he were to do that, wouldn't it mean that he was afraid of his opponent in a competition of strength? And this Klees wouldn't lose willingly either. Since Phong Lin was challenging the heaven-reaching pagoda, then he should temper his own battle prowess to an extreme. Come. Phong Lin let out a long laugh and didn't speak any crap. The 2 of them suddenly moved, confronting each other head-on. Creak, creak. During the collisions, extremely horrible creaking sounds rang out. Wrestling was humans' most ancient competition method, testing one's arm strength, footwork stability, as well as their body's balance. However, in the end, it was still a competition of pure strength and the techniques in which one's strength was used. Their heads pressed against each other and their hands held together like chains, neither of them let go. The spectators looked at each other, not expecting the situation to turn out like this. The 2 of them wrestled, their bones releasing crackling sounds. Cracks appeared in the ground from their stomps. The veins in their eyes popped up, and they both looked extremely savage. God of Strength physique. Kleesa's rough and violent face revealed an expression as if he had gotten away with his scheme. His body emitted divine light and an invisible pressure was reinforcing him. His strength had suddenly grown by 3 times. The violent strength was overwhelming like tidal waves, pushing Phong Lin back repeatedly. The god of strength has the blood of Zeus, the king of the gods. To think that you would dare to have a competition of strength against me. You really don't know any better. Right now, god of strength Klees could still afford to chat, wearing an expression as if victory was his. Is that so? Phong Lin said calmly, not panicking at all. What? The god of strength suddenly felt that things weren't right. At the next moment, Phong Lin's eyes shot out intense silver light. Heart monkey force. The idealistic heart monkey force was reinforcing his body, breaking through the materialistic laws. Strength multiplied. 2 times. 3 times. 4 times. What? Cleese found this unbelievable. He felt that unparalleled strength was flowing out from his opponent's body, pressing down on him, and making it impossible for him to fend off. 10 times. Fong Lin suddenly let out a deep bellow, pressing down Cleese's burly body into the ground, knocking him out. It was clear who the victor was. Winner, Spirit Slayer Lin Fong. Unbelievable. To think that someone is able to overwhelm the god of strength in strength. Spirit-type genes are really too unbelievable. It's simply a miracle. Miraculous ability. Miraculous mythological gene. Many people were shocked to see that someone was able to defeat the god of strength in pure brute strength. Fong Lin was about to head to the higher level when he suddenly felt that things were amiss. He could feel a lot of invisible power gushing over from all directions incessantly. They were entering his body, turning into streams of heat currents that replenished his soul. Genetic potential plus 1,000, plus 1,200, plus 1,400. His genetic potential grew at an unprecedented rate. Fong Lin was extremely familiar with this force. However, unlike the degree of pureness his power had, this power was extremely chaotic. It was as if it was filled without countless chaotic thoughts. This was Spirit Force. Chapter 5:12, Fushi and Nuwa. Streams of chaotic spirit force came gushing over from all directions, mixed with all lives' wills, astonishment, stunned feelings, perplexity. The human heart was the most complicated, possessing 7 emotions and 6 desires, having great yearning for material possessions. The entire place fell silent with Fong Lin defeating God of Strength Cleese. There were all sorts of different emotions, and all of them turned into spirit force and came gushing toward Fong Lin, rapidly turning into his genetic potential. The spiritual stone monkey was also known as the heart monkey. Having awakened the chaotic world demonic monkey gene, would he now be able to absorb all live spirit force to replenish his own? Fong Lin quietly felt the strange feeling of the rapid GE growth taking place in his body, and he came up with a guess of what was going on. However, before he could appreciate it carefully, voices were seething on the 9,002nd level of the heaven-reaching pagoda. Now, let us welcome the Spirit Slayer Lin Fong. This time around, he'll be challenging the boss of the 9,002nd level, Goddess of Creation Wai. As the host bellowed out loudly, the atmosphere became heated up. Goddess. 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 I can finally see Goddess was unrivaled beauty once again. It's really such a rare opportunity. This is the end for Lin Fong to encounter the Goddess of Creation with unparalleled beauty and great talent. That's right. But I'll still have to thank him. Otherwise, how would I be able to see the Goddess of Creation's unrivaled beauty? His spirit can go through endless transformations, while Goddess Wa can create everything in the world. I wonder which of them would possess more transformations. This will be interesting. The scene was very chaotic, with all kinds of voices. Suddenly, a crisp laughter rang out in the surroundings. The voice wasn't loud, but it couldn't be concealed no matter how noisy the surroundings were. It resonated in everyone's heart. Fong Lin raised his head and saw that a colorful rainbow had suddenly appeared in the sky. A slender and graceful figure slowly walked out. Her movements were like the willow in the wind, her hair tied up high. She was wearing a colorful robe and appeared extremely graceful. Each step the beautiful figure took would arouse everyone's heart, causing them to be unable to turn their heads away. Amidst the brilliant rainbow lights, the face with unrivaled beauty was gradually revealed. Her narrow eyes had an alluring charm, and the corners of her lips curled up into a faint smile. There was a red-crimson dot on her forehead, exuding an astonishing dignified feeling and beauty. She was like a goddess who had came down from the heavens and not like a woman in the mortal world. You're the one who defeated that muscular brute from the west? The beautiful lady's eyes turned and were fixed onto Feng Lin. Countless spectators couldn't help but hammer their chest and stomp their feet, wishing that they were the one their goddess were looking at. That's right. Feng Lin replied. He didn't speak much crap and with a wave of his hand, sent out a stream of flames that took on the shape of a dragon and spewed out. This was a probing attack and not making the first move. It was just a way to start the battle. Seeing that Feng Lin had no intentions of talking to her, Hua Yi's eyes opened slightly, seeming to be very surprised. Regardless how powerful the interstellar cultivator was, they would space out the moment they saw her. She hadn't expected that this person would take action directly without saying anything, not knowing to act gentlemanly. What a ruthless person. Hua Yi turned and smiled, charming everyone, revealing unrivaled allure. However, she didn't hold back in her attacks at all. She put out her graceful fingers and moved as if she was dancing. As her fingers moved, blades rained down, flames burned, water currents flowed, sand and dust were sent up, and falling lumbers rolled. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The universe's 5 elements gathered together, forming energy torrents that came surging over. They were majestic like tidal waves, coming over in succession, as if wanting to scatter and annihilate everything before them. Feng Lin rose up into the air silently, facing that energy torrent. However, he wasn't afraid. Silver light shone in his eyes and immediately, the 4 great origin sources, earth, fire, water, and wind, moved in accordance to his will. Suddenly, the world appeared very glamorous. Endless energies gushed forth, forming a divider where they were at, dyeing the world in many colors. The 2 streams of torrents clashed together, and lightning splattered out, turning the surroundings into chars. Feng Lin was just about to press in and subdue her in one move. However, he hadn't expected that Hua Yi just smiled slightly, and then her body dissipated silently at the next moment. She turned into a colorful rainbow light that instantly disappeared right before him. In an instant, she reappeared above Feng Lin, flicking her fingers repeatedly, sending out streams of lightning that rained down. Monkey King Domain. His body trembled and invisible spirit force were sent out, forming a material shield 3 zhangs away from his body. The lightning landed on the shield and were immediately neutralized. Feng Lin gave chase once again. However, Hua Yi turned into rainbow light, darting about as fast as light. There was no stopping her. Despite so, Feng Lin had the protection of his spirit force that was impenetrable. No matter what attacks Hua Yi dealt, they were unable to break through Feng Lin's defense. He remained unscathed. Neither party could do anything to each other. Hua Yi's beautiful gaze looked out with a hint of impatience, and her body suddenly shook. Clatter, clatter, clatter. A series of water sounds rang out. A tremendous amount of water suddenly rose up from the ground, encompassing her surroundings. Later on, a figure with a mythological form with a human upper body and snake lower body gradually appeared. With a glance, Hua Yi put up both hands, sending colorful divine lights radiating out. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The powers of the world's 5 elements were freely controlled by her, and assuming a series of changes. The flames were like a smelting furnace, roasting everything. Metal blades took up a formation, surrounding Feng Lin. The sand and dust tempest swept away everything. In that instant, Feng Lin felt as if the entire world had turned dark. He was surrounded by layers of energy tempest, as if he had plunged down into hell. With the energy depletion, the Monkey King domain also shrank rapidly. The Nuwa mythological path? If it could be said that God of Strength Cleese had unleashed strength to a limit, then Hua Yi could be said to have unleashed energy to a limit. Nuwa was Huaxia's goddess of creation, refining the 5-colored stones to patch up the heavens. She had the world's energies within her control. This mustn't continue on. Magical techniques? Since you're from the Nuwa mythological path, then I'll. Trapped by layers of energy vortexes, Feng Lin didn't panic at all. The corners of his lips curled up into a hint of a smile. At the next instant, he transformed. His legs turned into that of a snake, his body reaching 10 meters in height. He assumed the head of a person and the body of a snake, having 2 pupils in his eyes, gleaming with countless glows. There was wind, fire, thunder, lightning, the myriad phenomena of the world moving as his body moved. Fuxi, son of Swirenshi, possessing the head of a human and body of a snake. He could observe the world's phenomena, created the 8 trigrams, seen as the human's forefather, and was called the Heavenly Sovereign. The records of the ancient mythology resounded in Feng Lin's heart, and his eyes reflected the world's phenomena. He stood in the world, and as he breathed, it seemed as if the stars were responding to him. The power of the universe is free from my control. Right now, his body had transformed into half human and half snake. His upper body was strong and muscular, his muscle prints faintly showing traces of the mountains, rivers, sun, moon, and the stars. There was the glow of the sun and the moon illuminating in his eyes, and his thick snake tail smacked into the ground. As he swung it about, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered and dispersed. The wind, fire, thunder, lightning, everything was within my control. Fuxi Avatar versus Nuwa Avatar. Chapter 513, Extremity in Magical Arts. Human Body Snake Tail. One of them was a handsome man, his polychoria eyes reflecting the world's phenomena. With every action, there would be the 8 trigrams circulating non-stop around him. They represented the universe's most fundamental power, yin and yang turned into the 4 elements, which gave rise to the 8 trigrams. The 8 trigrams consisted of 64 permutations, each complementing each other, leading to eternity. The other was a great beauty, surrounded by colorful divine light. She controlled the powers of the universe's 5 elements, turning into mountain rocks, flames, seas. The world overturned, the seas fluctuated, and the majestic sight of a brand new world being created was emitted. Fuxi Avatar versus Nuwa Avatar. Everyone watching this scene couldn't help but hold their breaths. Their expressions were that of disbelief. What is going on? Their mythological forms are too similar. Could it be that they have the same type of mythological path? Are you an idiot? These are clearly 2 types of mythological forms, one male and one female. Even so, their mythological genes would definitely have a great connection. It might involve some kind of ancient mythological mystery. A commotion broke out, and many gasps rang out. Anyone could tell that Feng Lin and Hua Yi's mythological paths were closely related. Even Hua Yi didn't appear as composed as before. Her eyes opened wide as she looked over. Feng Lin intentionally wanted things to turn out like this. Nuwa was Huaxia's goddess of creation. When the world collapsed, Nuwa had chopped off the legs of a giant tortoise to support the heaven, then she repaired the heaven with 5 colored stones. There was nothing in the world that wasn't within her control. If Feng Lin wished to fight against her using magical techniques, then he'd have to use the Fuxi Avatar. Fuxi and Nuwa were siblings as well as husband and wife. They were the transformation of the world's yin and yang. Feng Lin had long since derived the Fuxi mythological path completely. His polychoria eyes spun like yin and yang, and with a single thought, an 8 trigram rune appeared. Can 1. Water, great water, unlimited seawater. Endless amounts of water vapor surged over, turning into a majestic sea that gushed over toward Feng Lin in many waves. Hua Yi's eyes glanced out and her snake tail swung out. A colorful divine light appeared in her hands, turning into a staff which she held onto. She then pointed out with it. The seawater split apart to open a path, not getting onto her at all. 5-colored divine light. She swung her staff and a colorful light shone down. Feng Lin detected danger and instinctively dodged. Wherever the 5-colored divine light passed by, everything would break down naturally, turning into the most fundamental particles. Feng Lin kept on controlling the Fuxi Avatar, turning into lightning, towering trees, and blazing flames. He threw out many moves, but when they were shown by the five-colored divine light, they would instantly break down without a trace. Feng Lin was forced to keep on retreating. After all, the Nuwa mythological path was an absolute paragon mythological path. Even if it was impossible for Hua Yi to have a complete grasp over the Nuwa mythological path, even though there were flaws in her attacks, it was intrinsically not weaker than the Sun Wukong mythological path. Every elite adept gene cultivator was a rare talent in the universe. They were extremely talented and had given mythological paths brand new meanings. Nuwa brought great blessing to the world and was said to know all the arts in the world. However, Feng Lin hadn't expected that the limits to magical arts weren't the showy transformational type, but to refine the world's arts repeatedly until you grasp some kind of intrinsic power. Nuwa refined the five elements, the universe's fate was within her grasp. The five-colored divine light wiped out everything, and even Feng Lin felt an intense threat. He didn't dare to face it head-on and appeared very pathetic. The Sun Wukong mythological path was one of endless transformations, but the essence of the transformations was in the heart. Even though he could transform into the Fuxi avatar, he would still need a lot of honing to figure out how to use it. The Nuwa avatar's great art was the five-element divine light. Then what was the Fuxi avatar's? Feng Lin kept on dodging while trying to contemplate things. Suddenly he was struck by realization. That's it. 8 trigrams, go. Qian, Kuan, Jin, Sun, Can, Li, Zhen, Dui. 1. The trigrams flashed, and 8 streams of origin source auras gathered over. They each represented an extreme attribute in the world, forming thunder, fire, wind, rain, heaven, earth, mountain, and sea. Qian as heaven, Kuan as earth, Jin as thunder, Sun as wind, Can as water, Li as flames, Zhen as mountain, and Dui as marsh. These were formed innately and were the beginning of all lives. They were the 8 auras of Xiantian. Feng Lin's polychoria eyes were like yin and yang in Tai Chi, spinning non-stop. The 8 auras circulated around him, having the signs of the great chaos. Crackle, rumble, swoosh. The 8 auras of Xiantian and the 5-colored divine light clashed repeatedly, as if many tentacles had gotten entangled together. As they clashed, it was as if many strange phenomena were formed. Charred soil, flowing flames, golden liquid. The 8 trigrams and 5 elements were just different displays of the world's intrinsic powers. They tangled up, complementing and counteracting each other, producing brand new matter that was extremely strange. The loudest sound is silence, the largest shape has no form. The 2 great arts by the elite adept cultivators weren't an extravagant sight. Everything seemed to be concealed under the water, and only the 2 who were within it could sense the great dangers. The battle between elite adepts was a competition in intrinsic powers. Feng Lin was struck by comprehension, and he could feel that he had gained a deeper level of comprehension of the elite adept realm. Genetic potential plus 11,000. Thereafter, it was an unprecedented explosive increment in his potential. If things continue like this, and I can keep clearing the heaven-reaching pagoda, then I might be able to take a sneak peep in the next realm's profoundness. Feng Lin couldn't help but think. The heaven-reaching pagoda gathered all outstanding cultivators in the universe. Right now, all of them had become Feng Lin's sharpening stone, turning into powerful nourishment that propelled him upward. The spirit mythological path has endless transformations. To think that it is so mysterious, being able to allow one to possess the true abilities of what they transformed into. Previously, he possessed extreme strength, but now he possesses extreme proficiency in magical arts. If things drag out like this, I wonder what other strange means he'll dish out. I mustn't let the battle drag out. Hua Yi was struck by realization, and many thoughts appeared in her mind. At the next moment, she suddenly made a move. 5 directions and 5 elements, universe's fate, the heaven gives birth to the 5 spirits. With a soft bellow, 5-colored divine light separated and landed in 5 areas. The middle was earth, south was fire, north was water, east was wood, and west was metal. The chi of the universe's 5 elements gathered over rapidly. They were like smoke or fog, seething endlessly. Gradually, massive black shadows could be seen twisting about, faintly showing themselves as if they would jump out at the very next moment. A series of strange howls rang out. There was a phoenix's cry, dragon's howl, tiger's roar. At the next moment, a stream of purple flames soared into the sky. A crisp cry rang out, circulating non-stop. A majestic divine bird broke out from the flames, covered in feathers of 5 colors. It had a dignified and scorching aura, and was the southern vermilion bird that represented fire. A long cry rang out. Lightning flashed in the surroundings, and an azure dragon bathed in lightning and had 2 horns was born. It had 5 claws on each foot, and was the eastern azure dragon that represented wood. Thereafter, the 3 positions moved as well. The earth was heavy, suppressing all directions. Having the head of a dragon, the body of a cow, emitting auspicious auras. It was the Kirin at the very center. The tiger roared, emitting strong killing auras that swept out in all directions. All lives shivered in fear. It was the western white tiger that represented metal. There was water in the north, incessant and majestic. The world was freezing. It was the northern black tortoise that represented water and carried the world on its back. The moment the 5 spiritual beasts appeared, they assumed the 5 positions and cried out, sending out divine prowess endlessly. They trapped Feng Lin within them, causing him to not be able to dodge upward or downward. This was the extremity of magical art, creation origin spirit. Chapter 5:14 Origin Spirit Birth. There was a story in ancient mythology. When a cultivator comprehended the universe's great way to an extremely profound degree, then they'd be able to hold the world's destiny with every action. The magical technique they performed would also have their own consciousness, capable of freely changing and attacking others. This was the origin spirit law realm. And this Wai had clearly reached such a great realm. The 5-colored divine light separated and took place in 5 respective positions, giving rise to the 5 spirits of Xiantian. The moment the vermilion bird, azure dragon, Kirin, white tiger, and black tortoise appeared, they gave off the feeling of suppressing the world. It was as if all energy had come to a complete standstill, no longer to be used by anyone else. The 5 spirits materialized from the 5 types of origin source abilities in the universe, grasping power from the moment they were born. Lightning crashed, and the azure dragon stretched out its long and slender figure, flying in the air. It surrounded Feng Lin, sending lightning and thunder down. Zhen. Sun. Feng Lin pointed out a finger, sending 2 of the 8 trigrams runes out. The sound of the wind and thunder was very loud, entangling together with great prowess, fighting against the azure dragon. The black tortoise raised its head and bellowed out incessantly. The dark north mystic water was pitch black like ink, possessing a coldness that reached deep into one's soul. Gen. Dui. Using the mountain range as a barrier, the seas as storage. Even the black tortoise was blocked outside. Screech. 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 The vermilion bird kept on crying out, turning into the bright south light fire, burning everything. Endless scorching heat roasted even void space into distortion. Li. Can. Combining with fire, melting with water. The vermilion bird's fire prowess was also suppressed. It kept on flying in the air, waiting for a chance to pounce forth. Roar, roar, roar. The tiger's roar filled up the mountains. The white tiger sent out great baleful auras that seized one's heart with its wings. Its sharp claws tore through everything, and it even managed to scratch out streams of black marks onto space. It moved as elusive as a ghost, appearing and disappearing, catching people off guard. Qian, Kuan. Left with no choice, Feng Lin could only use the Qian and Kuan runes to suppress spacetime, making it hard for the white tiger to invade in. However, at this moment, the Kirin made a move. It raised its head and feet, as if it was a sovereign that was embraced by the other four spirits. It stepped into the air, moving upward, emitting endless dignified and auspicious auras. The repercussive waves of the magical techniques dissipated when they came into contact with the auspicious auras. They couldn't hurt the Kirin in the slightest. With the Kirin's appearance, a saint would definitely be born. Kirins were the supreme auspicious beasts, born with the ability to provide reinforcements to one's merits, and wouldn't be affected by all arts. Fonlin's spirit force that had always been able to push its way through were fended off by the auspicious auras, unable to push through in the slightest. The 8 auras of Xiantian were entangled by the other 4 spirits. Left with no choice, Fonlin could only fight against the Kirin by himself. The Kirin had the body of a beast, and its strength naturally surpassed that of humans. The Fushi avatar controlled the 8 trigrams in the universe, but its ability in physical combat wasn't too strong. The Kirin pressed on with its horn, collided, or slapped out. Every part of its body had turned into a weapon, attacking Fonlin incessantly with great force, making it hard for him to break free. Seeing this, Wai didn't stand on ceremony. She condensed another set of 5 colored divine lights. She kept on moving them around, causing Fonlin to sway from the attacks. Origin spirit law? Fonlin thought to himself. If he didn't have the same means to deal with the situation, it'd be hard for him to withstand this no matter how he transformed. Wai's techniques were developed from the origin spirits. Therefore, they had their own consciousness and spirit forces. However, it didn't make sense that others could do it, but he couldn't. After all, in terms of spirit-type mythological path, he was the person with the greatest achievement in the entire universe. The usage of the spirit lay in having one heart. If others' technique could develop their own origin spirits, there was no reason that he couldn't do the same. Somersault cloud. With a single thought, energy particles immediately gathered under Fonlin's feet, spurting endlessly in the form of a beam. His entire body turned into a stream of light, starting to flash rapidly as he dodged in the air. There's no hiding. Wai let out a bellow, turned into a 5-colored rainbow that gave Fonlin a chase. 2 streams of rainbow engaged in a chase and pursuit, presenting a dazzling sight. The 5 spirits bellowed furiously, surrounding them. Fonlin carefully observed the situation while he dodged. The vermilion bird let out a long cry, sending the bright south light fire burning. All things shattered. There was the blazing spirit that seemed to want to incinerate even one's body and soul. The azure dragon extended out its body, bringing along the prowess of thunder. Its endless majestic prowess turned the ground into charred soil. The white tiger stretched out its wings, sending out golden auras that turned into blades, slicing through everything. The black tortoise brought forth an overwhelming amount of water and endless chillness, wanting to freeze everything. The Kirin assumed a high position, bringing along endless majestic auspicious auras. A strange comprehension appeared in Fonlin's mind. The vermilion bird was enraged, the azure dragon was dignified, the white tiger was fierce, the black tortoise was cold, and the Kirin was proud. So the 5 spirits each had different emotions? The cultivators sent out the will in their spirits, channeling them into their magical arts. This allowed the techniques to inherit the cultivators' emotions, and thus allowing them to possess intelligence. Genetic potential plus 6,800. After figuring this out, Fonlin felt as if his mind had cleared up and he was struck by sudden comprehension. His mythological gene cultivation had made another tremendous improvement. What should I do next? Fonlin thought to himself and suddenly made a move. Origin spirit law, Xiantian form transformation. What form could go up against these 5 spirits of heaven and earth? The 5 spirits were born as spiritual beasts. They were divine beasts that were born to possess 5 types of origin sources. Unless it was spiritual beasts of the same level, it would be unlikely for someone to go up against them. The 8 auras of Xiantian were also the world's origin source, but what divine beast should he transform into? Feng Lin kept on thinking, and countless strange beasts from myths and legends flashed past in his mind. Xiangqi, double-pupil bird, Xiangliu. In the end, he stopped on 4 images that each possessed strange characteristics. He was extremely familiar with them. That's it. Feng Lin had an idea. 8 auras of Xiantian. With a thought, 8 streams of indistinct auras returned, like myriad birds returning to the forest. The other 4 spirits were trapped and let out long bellows, sending out fierce auras. However, Feng Lin was unafraid. He shouted out, 8 auras of Xiantian, each part of the trigram, origin spirit birth. The 8 qis once again turned into 8 trigrams, assuming 8 positions. They rapidly spun and assembled. Qian. Zhen. Nature moves powerfully, the heart is like thunder. Kuan. Zhen. The earth had an imposing momentum, and was wide and smooth sailing. With strength as great as the mountain, the gentleman's merits should be great enough to carry all things. Sun. Li. The wind is indistinct, the will is like fire. Wind and fire create destruction. Can. Dui. The pit is an abyss, qi like water, embracing everything. The 8 auras of Xiantian split into pairs and formed 4 groups, showing traces of destiny. Gradually, a human-shaped black shadow was produced. It appeared indistinct, as if it was going to jump out at the very next instant. It was accompanied by 4 cries that sounded very similar but were all different. The sound of water was very loud, soaring into the sky. A black ape stood on top of the water ripples, holding a trident. It had a hideous face and was baring its teeth, appearing very ferocious. The wind blew, without any foundation nor support. A lean monkey landed. It had 6 ears that listened to all directions, and there was nothing it couldn't detect. The terrain was forceful and the mountains collapsed. A huge monkey with a burly physique and silver hair stood up on 2 feet. Its hands held onto the sun and the moon, and it could cover up the sky. Heavenly thunder seethed, and golden light shone down brilliantly on the world. A golden monkey appeared, its eyes gleamed with golden light as it looked toward the surroundings. It had the name of the great sage in the 3 realms. These were the chaotic world monkeys. The first one was the spiritual stone monkey. It was capable of transformations, could discern the weather, was familiar with the geography, and possessed extraordinary capabilities. The second one was the crimson-back macaque. It could tell fortune, could handle human relationships, and knew how to avoid disasters and misfortunes. The third one was the tingbi ape. The sun, moon, and mountains were all within its grasp. It could also tell right from wrong, fortune from misfortune. The fourth was the 6-eared macaque. It had a great sense of hearing, great wisdom, was able to see the past and future, and there was nothing it didn't know. Chapter 5:15, 4 Monkeys versus 5 Spirits. The 4 monkeys took 4 positions, surrounding Feng Lin. Each of them wore sharp gazes that radiated light, and they pounced forth. A violent cry rang out. A completely black monkey stepped on the water and headed upward. It held a heavenly river trident in its hand and swung it casually, instantly bringing forth overwhelming waves. It was as if the heavenly river had been turned upside down and was gushing downward, fending off the 5 spirits. This wasn't an ordinary water, but the constellation true water from the heavenly river. It was of extreme een, cold and pure in nature. Even though the vermilion bird had the bright south light fire to protect it, being able to burn everything, it was now completely drenched, the flames extinguished. A phoenix that had lost its feathers was worse than a chicken. The vermilion bird's prowess reduced tremendously. It immediately flapped its wings, wanting to dodge. The black tortoise used the dark north true water against the constellation true water, forming a huge whirlpool that swept them within it. Another monkey was extremely small and didn't stand out. However, it listened to all directions with its 6 ears. Suddenly, as if it had heard something, it revealed a surprised gaze. Its lean and small body shook slightly, and it disappeared from the spot, melting into the wind. At the next instant, a great tremor rang through the entire void space. A white tiger materialized, bellowing furiously. With its savage mouth, it bit out toward its back. The small monkey had appeared out of nowhere, sitting on the tiger's back and jumping about agilely. The white tiger's figure disappeared once again, hiding in the void. The monkey had 6 ears and could hear all movements in the world. Nothing could hide from it. Although the white tiger was elusive, it was ineffective before the 6-eared macaque's remarkable skill. The monkey moved even more agilely than the white tiger, giving chase relentlessly. It held onto a weapon that was like a staff or a spear, being able to change into many forms. It was known as the formless metallic staff weapon. The tiger and monkey got into a scuffle. Boom, boom, boom. Thick silver hair fluttered with the wind. The divine monkey with monstrous strength beat on its chest loudly, holding onto a pitch-black metal staff. It stared at the azure dragon, and the black staff suddenly grew thicker and longer, smashing down like a heavenly pillar. This staff was known as the wrought iron heaven-holding pillar. The azure dragon's body was 100 zhang long, moving in the air. As if God was enraged, as its body moved about, it wrapped around the heavenly pillar and sent endless thunderbolts crashing down. The Tangbi ape wasn't afraid at all and confronted it head-on. The azure dragon held tightly onto it, electrifying the Tangbi ape's hair until they were charred and smoke was rising up. Under the great pain, the Tangbi ape became even more ferocious. It bared its sharp teeth and bit down fiercely. Its thick and strong arms strangled the dragon's neck, not releasing its grip. Fresh blood splattered. The two ferocious creatures tore and bit at each other. The entire scene was extremely bloody. Dong dong dong. The Kirin stepped on the air, bringing along endless auspicious auras sweeping out. No arts could work against it. Many magical techniques clashed and landed on its body, but they would immediately dissipate silently. It stood amongst everything, as if taking a leisurely stroll in the courtyard. Nothing could hurt it. A pair of gazes that were like golden swords shot out. A golden monkey performed a somersault in the air, turning into a stream of golden light that broke through the air. The Rui golden cudgel in its hand was swung about, sweeping out. The auspicious cheese were extremely strong, and the metal cudgel struck hard against them, sending out streams of chi explosions. The Kirin stomped over with its massive hooves. The golden monkey's body swayed slightly, and its hair immediately dropped to the ground, turning into many clones that held onto a golden cudgel. They were like a huge army that surrounded the Kirin in many layers, causing it to be unable to break out. Bang bang bang. Knocking sounds rang out incessantly. The 4 monkeys cuddled together tightly, spinning like a top. They each held their respective weapons, moving very quickly and performing extraordinary magical techniques. They were also unrivaled in close combat, fighting against the 5 spirits in the air. The battle was intense. The world became a chaotic battlefield. The audiences in the heaven-reaching pagoda also felt that everything was flashing by very quickly before their eyes. They couldn't tell the state of the battle. Origin Spirit Law. When Wai saw this scene, she was secretly surprised. Gleams of disbelief radiated in her eyes. She felt that her opponents had too many aces up his sleeves, that they were almost endless. This made it hard for her to grasp him. Previously, this Lin Feng's strength had been unrivaled, being capable of carrying a mountain on his back. However, right now, even his magical techniques had reached such a great realm. However, what made her the most perplexed was the 4 monkeys' background. To think that they could rival her 5 spiritual beasts. The vermilion bird of the south, the black tortoise of the north, the azure dragon of the east, the white tiger of the west, and the Kirin in the middle. These 5 spiritual beasts were the mythological knowledge that she had unearthed from the ancient memories of her own mythological path, They had been transformed from the origin source of the 5 elemental chis in the world, and were said to be the kings of the divine beasts. There were also different tiers amongst techniques that developed their origin spirits. And the prowess of her divine beasts was also the strongest. Only spiritual beasts of the same tier could handle them. What on earth are these 4 monkeys? Wai looked at Feng Lin, emitting great curiosity toward him. She could only feel that there was a great cloud of mystery enveloping him, which made it hard for her to fathom. Right now, the 4 monkeys and the 5 spirits were all engaged in a tussle. Neither Feng Lin nor Wai just watched without doing anything. Wai condensed the 5-colored divine light once again, sending it sweeping over. Wherever they passed by, everything would be struck back to their most primitive state. Out of which, the lotmg ape was struck. Instantly, obvious red traces appeared on its broad back. It cried out in great pain, was then entangled by the azure dragon, and left in a tight spot. How can I let you have your way? Feng Lin let out a cold snort and put his hands together. 8 auras surrounded him and the world's phenomena appeared amidst them. The 2 sides clashed then met each other. The battle went on for a very long time. As expected of elite adept cultivators. Feng Lin thought to himself. Elite adepts were at a realm where they were half human half god. Each of them was a rare talent that wasn't to be underestimated to be able to reach this stage. Right now, every upgrade in tier had become increasingly difficult. Feng Lin naturally had the means of winning if he were to use some other methods. However, wouldn't that mean that he had admitted his loss in terms of magical techniques? Feng Lin was unwilling to see things go this way. In this trip to the heaven-reaching pagoda, clearing the stages was only secondary to him. The most crucial thing for him was to fight against different cultivators in the universe. He wanted to use this chance to temper his own mythological path, gradually heading up to the pinnacle. Since it was a battle of magical techniques, he was going to see through it to the very end. Feng Lin went all out to perform the various techniques. The 8 auras of Xiantian circulated, transforming into various magical techniques. The 5-colored divine light moved around with great dominance, heading everywhere they wanted to. Both of them performed their different means, which were at the pinnacle of magical techniques. This Wai wields power over the 5 elements. The 5 elements in the universe are all within her control. If my own means can't jump out of the 5 elements, then I won't be able to emerge victorious. Jump out of the 5 elements? Feng Lin was struck by an idea. He got it. His gaze suddenly locked onto the chaotic world monkeys. The 4 monkeys and the 5 spirits were all Xiantian divine creatures. Therefore, all Hotian magical techniques weren't able to harm them at all. However, it was still possible for Hotian to overcome and win over Xiantian. Genetic potential plus 6,600. Feng Lin comprehended this point and his genetic potential increased tremendously. Join. Without any hesitation, with a single thought, the chaotic world monkeys suddenly abandoned their own opponents and headed toward Feng Lin. What is he trying to do? Wai was on her guard. An idea appeared in Feng Lin's mind, but it was hard for him to explain it. He could only start taking action based on the inspiration he had. The 4 monkeys spun like a top, and suddenly, their bodies broke down, returning into their chi state. They rapidly joined together into one, forming a lump of gloomy chi. They were like smoke or fog, emitting an extremely primitive and ancient aura. It was as if the world had yet to be opened up, and everything was just in a state of chaos and unknown. Gradually, a strange chi stream appeared. It made one's heart skip a beat instinctively, feeling as if their blood flow was speeding up. It was as if some kind of extremely horrifying existence was going to be born. Wai was struck by a great sense of danger and didn't dare to attack recklessly. She quickly summoned the 5 spirits close to her to defend her. Everyone subconsciously held their breaths, not daring to breathe too heavily. A black shadow slowly took form above that gray ball of chi. It had a massive head and 4 unopened eyes. It faintly glimmered in golden light, and 8 thick arms were raised high up, either forming seals, holding weapons, or treasured bottles. Everything was encompassed within the gray fog and was very blurry. Only the shape could be seen clearly, but it couldn't be seen thoroughly. Clank! By the time everyone took a close look, a golden light burst out at the next instant. It was so piercing that they weren't able to open their eyes. What happened? What's going on? What's the result? A series of gasps rang out, and the golden light gradually dissipated. Everyone took a look and noticed that Wai had unknowingly returned to her human form and was lying on the ground. She had lost the ability to fight back. The 5 spiritual beasts had also disappeared without a trace. Everything took place unknowingly. Other than the traces left behind from the battle, it was as if nothing had happened. It was as if everything from before had been wiped out abnormally out of nowhere. That's right, wiped out. It was cleaner than being rubbed away by an eraser. The gray cheese in front of Feng Lin also disappeared without a trace. It was as if everything was just a dream. What was that? Wai raised her head with great difficulty and asked. Good question. I have no idea either. Feng Lin thought to himself. It seemed that he had come up with something extraordinary. Even though he had gone all out, he was unable to let that existence materialize fully. Feng Lin had the premonition that the 4 monkeys joining together likely involved the ultimate profoundness of mythologies. However, he was unable to grasp it at this moment. He could only wait to probe further in greater detail in the future. He was unable to give an answer and thus didn't say much. He turned and walked toward the higher level. What magical technique was that? Why could that win against me, said Wai, who found it hard to accept this. It was because this was such a baffling loss, and she felt so helpless. Could it be that there was an even more unfathomable realm above that where their techniques developed origin spirit? She had a strong urge to find out and kept her eyes on Feng Lin. Feng Lin paused for a moment but didn't look back. He then continued forward and was about to reach the higher level, his figure disappearing, only a line rang out. It's because I've already jumped out of the 3 realms and isn't within the 5 elements. Chapter 5:16 Paramount Heart Monkey. Genetic potential plus 1000, plus 1800, plus 2600. Countless spirit force gushed toward him crazily like endless tidal waves. In an instant, Feng Lin felt as if he was drowned by a sea of spirit force. They turned into a tremendous amount of genetic potential. The Paramount Heart Monkey. Other than being able to use his own idealism power to move the material world, would he also be able to absorb all live spirit force to replenish his own? It was no wonder. Feng Lin suddenly recalled a baffling rumor in the myths and legends. That monkey's cultivation had been very low. When it returned from the Fangsuan mountain, it hadn't been able to unravel the mysteries behind life and death, and had its soul taken away by black and white impermanence. 1. However, with how vast the 3 realms were, none of the many deities in the world had expected that the monkey would get increasingly stronger through battles, starting from creating havoc in hell and tearing up the book of life and deaths. It then continued to overturn the Dragon Palace, the Heavenly Palace, toppling over the Violet Gold Furnace. It remained undefeated until it met Buddha Lord Tathagata, where it was thereafter defeated and suppressed. The monkey had risen very quickly, possessing a ferocious battle prowess, causing countless deities to fear it. There was one thing that they were perplexed about. The magnates in the 3 realms had all gone through millions of years of tough cultivation to reach the place they were at. How on earth did the monkey rise within such a short period? It had taken merely 100 years to become a battle god-like existence in the 3 realms. How on earth did it achieve this? This had always remained a mystery. However, right now, Feng Lin felt that he might have found out the hidden secret behind it. The Paramount Heart Monkey was able to absorb all live spirits to strengthen itself. The stronger the emotions, the greater its battle prowess. The monkey continued to fight its way through the 3 realms: heaven, hell, and the mortal world. It remained undefeated, attracting many gazes. The more it battled, the stronger it got. The more it battled, the more he stood out. As its battle achievements increased, so did its reputation. It took the three realms by storm, thus naturally absorbed more and more spirit forces. As a result, its battle prowess also increased very quickly. A stronger battle prowess would mean that it would be able to absorb more spirit force. And the more spirit force it had, the greater its battle prowess would be. This formed a perfect cycle. As long as the monkey continued to win its battles, it would be theoretically unrivaled in terms of its battle prowess, until the point that it became invincible, possessing unparalleled battle prowess. However, before it really became invincible, it had met Buddha Lord Tathagata, a top-notch existence in the three realms. The monkey had been suppressed under the five elements mountain and struck down to the lowest point of its life. From then onward, it was thrown into mediocrity. On the journey to the west, the great sage had been bullied by various demons, toyed around by them. Suddenly, a brave yet mysterious thought struck Feng Lin. Although the monkey had been very amazing when it had created havoc in the heavenly palace, had the celestials in the three realms also seen through it? Which one amongst the many gods in the heavenly palace didn't have great experiences to be able to cultivate to become a celestial? It might be that they had seen through Sun Wukong's powerful origin, that in the beginning, they had gone up to battle it one by one. Not only had this been ineffective, but it had also aided Sun Wukong to become stronger. Thereafter, they had quickly changed their strategy. Before Sun Wukong had become so strong that he was unstoppable, they had requested help from Buddha Lord Tathagata. This was like a high-level account encountering a bug. The character was leveling up very quickly and had just reached level 60 when it encountered a level 100 account. Before the character got stronger, it was struck down to an all-time low, completely crushed, and no longer able to rise again. Genetic potential plus 12,000. After figuring this out, Feng Lin felt a wave of heat surging in his body. With the digestion of the mythological knowledge, his genetic potential surged tremendously again. Unknowingly, he accumulated another free genetic point. After going through a succession of great battles, his stamina had been depleted by a lot. Therefore, add point. Feng Lin decisively added the point. The tremendous amount of genetic potential surged toward the chaotic world demonic monkey gene, causing it to burst out in light that was radiating to all parts of his body. =========================================================================================================================Vitality, 536,800. Xiantian gene, chaotic world demonic monkey gene x3, Dao fruit gene x2. Hotian gene, Sun Wukong gene x10, cultivation gene x10. Genetic potential, 39,000. The adding of the point to his gene allowed him to instantly recover to his optimal status. His vitality broke through 500,000 points. Next, it was time for him to verify his guess. Feng Lin continued until he reached the 9,003rd level in the heaven-reaching pagoda. He had just stepped in when an overwhelming number of shouts rang out. Now, let us welcome the Spirit Slayer Lin Feng. This time around, he'll be challenging the boss of the 9,003rd level, Shadowflow Lord, Miyamoto Saburo. As the host bellowed out loudly, the atmosphere became heated up. The battle is going to get heated up. This Shadowflow Lord is extremely brutal. There hadn't been anyone defeated by him who managed to leave in one piece. The Spirit Slayer isn't to be trifled with either. It's really rare to see a bloody battle between elite adepts. Kill. 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 How can there be no blood in a battle between cultivators? The place was heated up, and a series of shouts rang out. You are the Spirit Slayer Lin Feng? A cold and hoarse voice rang out. It was like a cold wind had swept through the entire place, causing everyone to shiver. Although the voice wasn't loud, everyone could feel a chill rising in their bodies. All of them fell silent, not daring to kick up a racket. the owner of the voice couldn't be seen. He was hidden in the dark. Feng Lin stood in the center of the arena, glancing around the surroundings. He could vaguely feel a concealed killing intent ready to burst out, and had vaguely noticed that an endless stretch of dark shadow was stretching toward him, wanting to encompass him, and that it was filled with great killing intent. That person was like an unparalleled assassin, waiting for an opportunity while looking for Feng Lin's weak point. Once he discovered that Feng Lin had let his guard down, he would immediately dish a quick attack, instantly killing Feng Lin. Feng Lin was on his guard, and his eyes radiated with silver light as he quickly scanned the surroundings, looking for that person's traces. However, that person still didn't reveal his face. His traces were extremely elusive. If you end up in my hands, you'll suffer an extremely terrible plight. I'll use my kunai to slice open your flesh and remove your tendons and bones. That person's tone was extremely low and eerie, like blades that stabbed into one's heart, performing endless pressure. You speak too much crap. Feng Lin let out a cold laugh and his gaze locked down on the stretch of shadow above his head. There was extreme darkness there. Feng Lin used his eyes to detect the traces where the sound waves were coming from. The origin was right there. He immediately darted over at the speed of lightning, his lips curled up into a cold smile. In this realm, did he really think that words would be able to sway one's heart? It was too much of a joke. This instead was a sign that the other party was lacking confidence. Did he think that he'd be able to remain safe and sound by hiding in the dark? Feng Lin's gaze swept out, sending silver light shooting out. Wherever his spirit force scanned, he'd be able to instantly tell what was real and what wasn't. An indistinct figure was staying within the darkness like a venomous spider, spouting crap. At this moment, Feng Lin had already turned into a beam of light, appearing before the figure in the blink of an eye. This is bad. I've been discovered. The Shadow Flow Lord was taken by surprise and instinctively performed his magical technique. Shadow Arcane, Shadow Element 1000 Men / Many black shadows jumped out from the darkness. They were dressed in ninja clothes and covered up completely from top to bottom. They looked like real people, each of them holding katanas and surrounding Feng Lin. All of them attacked, their sharp blades slashing through space consecutively. The whole place was suddenly filled with human figures that formed an absolute killing formation. They were filled with killing intent, wanting to slash up the person before them into pieces. Chapter 5:17 Great Sun Hanging in the Sky. Ninjas were mysterious, concealing themselves in the shadows, and not revealing themselves to others. They hid their killing intents and waited for opportunities to deal the killing blow. Facing Feng Lin's rapid advancement, many black shadows jumped out from the darkness, quickly taking form in the air. The kunais in their hands were extremely sharp, and they slashed down across space. The shadows split from 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. Suddenly, the entire place was filled with human figures that surrounded and attacked Feng Lin. What faced the attack was a myriad of cudgel shadows that came enveloping down. 3 heads 6 arms. Creating great havoc in the heavenly palace. Feng Lin's body shook and suddenly transformed to have 3 heads and 6 arms. Each hand held onto a metal cudgel, and his body started to spin like a top. The cudgel attacks came on incessantly, as if it was a tornado, giving no gaps at all to his opponent. The cudgel kept on sweeping out, with powerful cudgel attacks enveloping the surroundings. The moment the clones got near, they were instantly rendered unable to escape and beaten up into smoke and fog, disappearing without a trace. The surroundings were cleared up. Feng Lin flashed with silver light and stared over, seeing through the shadows. The Shadow Flow Lord's actual body was already nowhere to be found. Shadow Arcane, Shadow Kill. Suddenly, at this moment, a small black dot above Feng Lin rapidly expanded in size, and countless shadows darted out from it. They were shaped like tentacles, tangling over, wanting to bind him down. Feng Lin's gaze swept over. He could only see endless shadows, which were gushing over like seawater. // Read more chapter on VIPnovel.com. An idea struck Feng Lin and a beam of silver light shot out from his forehead. The intangible spirit force turned into many blades that went slashing out. Chi. The shadow tentacles were instantly chopped off and dissipated. Shadow arcane, god-slaying single saber slash. At the instant the shadows were destroyed, a shadow that was close to nothingness darted out from the space behind Feng Lin, holding onto a black demonic blade that was like a crescent moon. There were strong killing intent and viciousness that felt as if they would slash through everything. An obvious black mark was slashed even on space itself. This attack. Feng Lin held onto the measureless divine metal cudgel and swept out to block. Clank. A crisp sound rang out. Endless blade chi emitted out, brushing against Feng Lin's face and sending sparks splattering. Intense power backlashed and the Shadow Flow Lord's body fell backward. With his attack failing, he once again returned to the darkness and then disappeared without a trace. Feng Lin gave chase relentlessly. He realized how tricky this person was to deal with. Every elite adept cultivator grasped an origin source of the world. If it could be said that God of Strength Cleese grasped the power origin source and Goddess of Creation Wai grasped the 5 elements origin source, then this Shadow Flow Lord grasped the shadow origin source. Shadows were darkness without light. The Shadow Flow Lord existed between the reality and nothingness, catching his opponents unaware. He was very tricky to deal with. Unless he found a way to restrict the Shadow Flow Lord's ability, any methods would be useless against it. It was no wonder that this Shadow Flow Lord could become a boss who was above the God of Strength Cleese and Goddess of Creation Wai. If this person kept on avoiding and not engaging in a confrontational battle, only waiting for a chance to launch a sneak attack, it'd be really troublesome. Feng Lin didn't have the mood to waste time here. What should he do? Feng Lin started thinking and didn't attack recklessly. Bang bang bang. Shadow Arcane, 8-branch strangle. Shadow Arcane, saberless slash. Shadow Arcane, multiple shadow clone technique. The enemy is in the open and I'm in the dark. The Shadow Flow Lord kept having the advantage of making the first attack, dealing them incessantly. He stared at Feng Lin's weak points as he launched the attacks. Endless shadows gushed over like many tidal waves, seeming as if they were going to drown Feng Lin completely. The auras were overwhelming, and it was as if Feng Lin had been completely suppressed. Monkey King Domain. However, Feng Lin didn't panic. He held up the domain and used his spirit force to envelope his entire body, dealing with the attacks calmly. He gave up on recklessly attacking for now, choosing instead to think of a strategy. Although he was passively on the defense, Feng Lin quickly discovered that the Shadow Flow Lord's battle prowess wasn't too strong. It was just that the shadow element techniques were too mysterious and hard to capture. If normal people were to engage in a prolonged battle, with the enemy in the dark while they were in the open, most of them would collapse. Although Feng Lin was unafraid, he couldn't be bothered to waste time and enter a scheming battle that he couldn't reap many benefits from. There was one thing he knew. No matter how amazing a mythological gene was, they wouldn't be hard to deal with as long as he could find a way to tackle them. Shadows is it. Shadows are the darkness without light. That's it. Feng Lin was struck by a realization. Genetic potential -1200, -1300, -400. His genetic potential didn't increase but plunged drastically instead. The genetic equation was activated and he started to derive rapidly. Boom. A ball of golden flames suddenly rose, enveloping Feng Lin. There were no traces of him to be seen. What happened? Why did this person burn himself? The Spirit Slayer has endless means. I wonder what he is going to do next. A series of gasps rang out amongst the audience. These flames. Amidst the shadows, the Shadow Flow Lord wore a mask, concealing himself entirely, not revealing any traces. The ball of golden flames was reflected in his eyes, and a great sense of danger rose in his heart. From these flames, he could sense endless light and blazing heat. The majestic light illuminated the world, not allowing any darkness to exist at all. This was his nemesis. No. I can't let him use such a mean. Otherwise, I'll definitely lose. The Shadowflow Lord let out a cold bellow. Waves of pitch-black shadows that were so thick they seemed almost material spread out crazily. They were like the dark clouds that covered up the moon, spreading out and engulfing all the light rays within sight. In that instant, the massive heaven-reaching pagoda was enveloped within it. The endless darkness didn't leave any light rays behind. It was as if they were going to engulf everything in the world, including all the souls. Why did it suddenly turn dark? What terrifying shadows. I feel that there's endless coldness engulfing my spirit force. A series of gasps rang out on the 9,003rd floor of the heaven-reaching pagoda. The crowd entered a state of panic. Caw. At that moment, a loud cry broke the silence in the darkness. In the deepest darkness, everyone's eyes lit up. They saw a ball of golden flames rising, like the sun that cut off the endless darkness, illuminating the entire world. Endless radiance appeared, and the world came back to life. Those pitch-black shadows met their nemesis when facing this world-illuminating light. They were forced back. Everyone glanced over and saw a golden crow with 1 head and 3 feet. It stood within the blazing flames, spreading its wings and flying high up while sending down endless flames and radiance. What? A gasp rang out. A ninja that was holding onto the demonic blade looked as if he had encountered his nemesis. His eyes shone with astonishment and he retreated rapidly, wanting to avoid the illumination from the great sun golden fire. However, that golden crow merely glanced over, breaking into a humane smile. With the sun hanging high up in the sky, no sneakiness could be left hidden. Caw. The golden crow let out another loud cry. Suddenly, the light on its body burst out even brighter. It flew up high, turning into a blazing sun. Light. There was only light. Endless light. They encompassed every corner in the heaven-reaching pagoda, not allowing for anything to hide. Ah! An agonizing cry rang out. A human figure that was dressed in black was encompassed by the golden flames, breaking out from the shadows. By the time Feng Lin recalled the flames, he saw a charred human figure lying on the ground. The person was already knocked out. Genetic potential plus 1,800, plus 1,900, plus 100. Thereafter, a tremendous amount of spirit force gushed over from all directions. In an instant, Feng Lin felt as if he was drowned by a sea of spirit force. They turned into a tremendous amount of genetic potential. Not only was the genetic potential that had been depleted in the deriving of the Golden Crow's mythological path been replenished, but he had also gained a lot of surpluses. Feng Lin finally verified one point. The Paramount Heart Monkey really absorbed all live spirit force to replenish their own, almost allowing him to become stronger limitlessly. He recalled how the monkey had wreaked havoc in the heavenly palace and grown increasingly stronger as it battled. Within a short period, the monkey rose to become a battle god in the 3 realms, known as the Great Sage equal to heavens. As the havoc it had created was in the heavenly palace that was a supreme place in the 3 realms, it had managed to absorb the spirit forces of countless lives to nourish its body. From there, it became an unprecedented legend. The heaven-reaching pagoda was a treasured land for cultivation that gathered the most number of mythology's cultivators in the universe. Wasn't it extremely close to the heavenly palace? Feng Lin looked upward with a deep gaze, as if seeing through the barriers in the pagoda, staring at the fortunate encounter that was within his grasp. Thereafter, he let out a long laugh and headed up. Look in front, there's a black hole. It's definitely the bandits' hideout. Watch me charge in and kill them all. Author note. According to preset rules, Legend of the Mythological Genes should end within 20 chapters, bringing a last wave of climax to the readers. However, friends and readers who have followed me all the way would know that in the end, the main character would be too powerful to the point of invincibility. It would simply be fillers. If I continue writing the book, there's no meaning to it. Although there are only about 1.3 million words, I wrote what I wanted to write, and this book can be considered finished. The new book will also use mythological genes as its basis, but it would be a completely different plot and story. If mythological genes are the starting buds of mythological cultivation, the new book would be the flourishing age of mythological cultivation, the clash between humanity and alien civilizations. After gaining experience from finishing my first book, the main concepts of the new book would be extremely vast, and I guarantee that the length would be very long as well, most assuredly above 3 million words. My writing style would mature too, and I will keep the chapter updates steady. I want to thank everyone for their support and companionship. Please continue to support Fish's new book, Mythological Cultivation. This will be the sequel to the Legend of the Mythological Genes. Everyone, please remember to vote for me and add the new book to your library. Summary below. The universe originally had no Pangu. After I came, Pangu exists. The mysteries outside the reason, the dominance of the former days, the gods and devils in the primordial chaos. The universe became filthy again. When all living things come to their end, I will cleave out with another axe strike. Pangu mythological gene. Constellation gene plus grasswood gene plus raindew gene equals Pangu skin gene. Pangu skin gene plus soil gene plus geography gene equals Pangu muscle gene. Pangu muscle gene plus windwater gene plus dragon vein gene equals Pangu vein gene. Chapter 518, Wreaking Havoc in the Heaven-Reaching Pagoda. At level 9044 of the Heaven-Reaching Pagoda. The vast space here had no heavens nor earth. Ever since he stepped into it, Fonglin's entire person was like floating in the air. In his surroundings, there were boulders as gigantic as mountains floating high in the air in defiance of the laws of physics. They were currently moving according to an unpredictable trajectory and would occasionally make Fonglin feel a sense of being squeezed by 10,000 mountains. Even before he met his opponent, there was an invisible pressure that bore down on his heart, unable to be wiped away. You are my opponent, Spirit Slayer? Encountering Astral Titan Renkanas, means that your progress is already set to end here. A muffled voice rang out from the depths of the void. Rumble. After that, the gigantic boulders before him exploded like golden mountains ramming into jade. An oval-shaped strange-looking rock floated over. There were 4 curved stone pillars on the outside, carrying plump stone balls. Fonglin's eyes narrowed. He discovered instantly that this was a figure whose body was curled up together. Ah! All of a sudden, a large shout shook heavens and earth. A gigantic figure of 100-meter tall stood up. He was incomparably lofty, while his skin looked simple and unadorned. He was emitting treasure light just like the glossy obsidian. He stared down imperiously from a height. Astral impact. Since Lin Feng was challenging the heaven-reaching pagoda, there was naturally no need to speak too much. The astral titan lifted his hands high and abruptly waved down. Instantly, countless asteroids began to move, smashing down with frantic speed. The entire sky and earth were covered, like meteor rain in the universe. Rumble. Read more chapter on VIPnovel.com. A mighty force smashed down crazily, with the power of 10,000 thunderbolts, wanting to crush this challenger into pieces. Astral force? The imperious gaze cast down from above felt extremely offensive to Fonglin. In that case. Grow, grow, grow. With a single thought, his body immediately grew while facing the wind. A moment later, he attained the height of 100 zhang, and his body was still rapidly growing larger, 300 zhang, 1,000 zhang, 10,000 zhang, all the way until his head touched the sky. What? The astral titan stared at this scene in shock. From the start, he had been looking down at Feng Lin. But his head slowly inclined and their gazes finally matched at the same level. Then, his neck tilted back slowly to the maximum. His mouth was wide open and didn't close for a long time. His original tall and sturdy figure was now as small as an ant when compared to Feng Lin. After that, he saw the sky turning dark. An incomparably gigantic dark screen cast down its shadow from the top, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. Poo, piu, piu. All the meteor rain fell into that dark screen and was instantly crushed into dust. This time, he saw clearly. That so-called incomparably gigantic dark screen was in actuality just a huge palm. The 5 fingers of the palm were like a mountain, ruthlessly pressing downward. "Don't, I admit defeat," that weak voice was instantly drowned by the earth-shattering sounds that could shake heaven and earth. In the end, the voice faded into nothingness. Genetic potential plus 2,200, plus 2,300, plus 2,400. A large amount of spirit force flooded over from all directions. For an instant, Feng Lin felt he was completely submerged in an ocean of spirit force. It then transformed into a large amount of genetic potential. Hence, he should add points. Feng Lin decisively did so, spamming a large amount of genetic potential on his chaotic world demonic monkey gene and Dao fruit gene. This caused the light emitting from the 2 genes to brighten in intensity, radiating to all parts of his body. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality, 687,200. Xiantian gene, chaotic world demonic monkey gene x4, Dao fruit gene x3. Hotian gene, Sun Wukong gene x10, cultivation gene x10. Genetic potential, 18,000. After adding his genetic points, he instantly recovered to his optimal state. His vitality stats broke the limit of 600,000. Just like what he had guessed earlier, the paramount heart monkey could truly absorb the spirit force of the multitude of lives to replenish himself. There seemed to be no limits to this as he continued to grow stronger. The stronger he was, the greater the amount of spirit force he could absorb. Since this was the case, he might as well take the chance to wreak havoc in this heaven-reaching pagoda. Swish. His heart stirred. At the next instant, his body vanished from his original location, transforming into a golden beam of light as he shot into the distance. Level 9102, the Guardian was the calamity of Earth, lines. The seemingly ordinary-looking white-beard old man punched out with both his fists. An intense vibrational force began to shatter the surrounding space as patches of fissures appeared in the air. Everywhere the vibrational force passed, everything was shattered, wreaking havoc in the celestial courts. The myriad of things was grounded into dust. Neither of the 2 combatants wanted to go easy on the other. However, Feng Lin had the augmentation from the spirit force, his strength flowed endlessly. After bitterly battling for 2 more hours, Feng Lin grabbed hold of an opportunity that existed only when the other party was taking a breath. He used his full force in his cudgel and blasted his opponent to the ground. His opponent was completely exhausted and no longer had the strength to stand up. Genetic potential plus 2,500, plus 2,600, plus 2,700. Every time, after a battle, the growth speed of his genetic potential grew faster and faster. However, Feng Lin didn't stop here. The higher he climbed, the greater the difficulty of the heaven-reaching pagoda. However, the genetic potential he received after each battle also increased by a lot. Hence, Feng Lin advanced courageously, overcoming every level. Level 9,200, Level 9,300, Level 9,400. Boundless spirit force gathered, reinforcing him. As though he didn't know fatigue, he continued breaking through the levels, advancing vigorously. His genetic potential also grew with ferocious speed as he fought. Genetic potential plus 3,000, plus 3,500, plus 4,000. The heaven-reaching pagoda contained the most elite cultivators in the universe. Through each battle he fought, Feng Lin's understanding toward the essence of mythological genes grew increasingly clear, and they transformed into rations that were promoting his self-evolution. Hence, he continued to add points without stopping. Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene +1, +1, +1. Dao Fruit Gene +1, +1, +1. The increase in genetic points provided an impetus for his vitality to soar rapidly. Vitality +100,000, +100,000, +100,000. His vitality stat erupted and soon broke the million mark. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality stat, 1,230,800. Xiantian Gene, Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene X9, Dao Fruit Gene X9. Hotian Gene, Sun Wukong Gene X10, Cultivation Gene X10. Genetic Potential, 92,000. As his stats increased, Feng Lin continued evolving. The higher levels of the pagoda that were like unreachable sky in the eyes of others were all trampled under Feng Lin's feet. Ultimately, he stood beneath an incomparably majestic giant gate. Level 10,000 of the heaven-reaching pagoda. In an instant, countless gazes turned over. The gigantic heaven-reaching pagoda trembled because of this. In fact, there were also countless gazes turning over from the universe. Feng Lin now simply drew in a deep breath. He didn't make any preparations and pushed the gate open. After that, he saw nothingness, complete nothingness. It was not darkness. There was no air, no sound, no light, complete nothingness. Color lost their meaning, so how could there be darkness? Only nothingness existed thoroughly, as though it was devouring everything in the world, causing people to feel extreme fear and panic. Feng Lin stood in there, his mind was vacant for a time. Boundless emptiness filled his heart. It was like everything in the world lost its significance. All his thoughts vanished, he couldn't summon any notion of resistance. Wrong. He sensed something wrong in his heart. This caused him to be shocked awake. Deliberately acting mysterious, scram out for me. Falling into his opponent's trap even before seeing one, Feng Lin was shocked and angered. He shouted and brandished the measureless divine metal cudgel wildly. Each of his strikes was filled with immense might, capable of destroying mountains and shattering stars. They were strong enough to break space itself. But now, he was hitting the nothingness. There was no effect at all. Time, space, substance, energy. Other than himself, it was as though nothing else existed. It's useless. The myriad of things in the universe was originally nothingness. They have no meaning. You are a mere human, so why bother to struggle? All of a sudden, an incomparably cold and detached voice drifted over. No, this was not a voice. This place was completely empty. The concept and meaning of a voice didn't exist. That was just a message or idea that appeared abruptly in Feng Lin's heart due to his current circumstances. The universe was originally nothingness? What does that has got to do with me? Feng Lin wasn't shocked, he was smiling instead. If I exist, everything is real. Since there's nothing in the universe, I shall be the light. As he spoke until here, he smiled as he regarded the nothingness in the surroundings. His hands slowly raised as he mumbled. I say, let there be light. Hence, there was light. Chapter 5:19 Genesis. A law was created from his words. A single sentence, let there be light, made light exist. Feng Lin's palm shot out an incomparably resplendent glow that had no impurities. It was pure to the extreme, a stretch of white. With white, there naturally had to be black. The meaning and significance of color momentarily appeared in the void. Millions upon millions of light rays shot out, like divine swords breaking apart everything. A moment later, the void was shattered as countless dark and gloomy aura were birthed. After that, they rapidly split apart and gave birth to a myriad of utterly different auras like the fiery sun, the cold moon, the cool breeze. The sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, seas, flowers, birds, trees, plants, everything slowly appeared. Before the universe was formed, there was only chaos. The beginning of division was chaos, separating into the heavens and the earth. This was Genesis. The light represented existence, it broke apart the nothingness in the void completely. A new world was seemingly about to be born. But before it had the time to truly appear. Boom. Fire, it was fire. Boundless flames shot out. The vibrant blood-like flames gathered into the shapes of lotuses that continued spinning ceaselessly. However, their aura wasn't one of auspiciousness, but filled with boundless destruction instead. All karma would be completely incinerated by these flames, transforming into the nothingness. Danger, extreme danger. Despite Feng Lin having evolved the Sun Wukong mythological path to the extreme and possessing an invulnerable stone monkey body, he didn't dare to touch the flames. The danger he felt in his heart told him that as long as he came into the slightest contact with it, the consequences would be unimaginably dire. Hence, he swiftly retreated. After that, he saw that wherever that fire passed by, the embryonic form of the heavens and earth that was just created started to burn. There was no smoke as they returned to nothingness from the incineration. It was like they never existed before. Boundless karma fire? Feng Lin's eyes narrowed as he glanced in the direction of the fire. After that, he saw a skinny figure of a cultivator appearing. His entire body was covered in ashes, and his hair was rolled up into a bun. There was a crescent moon on his headpiece, a long snake winding around his neck, a string of bones before his chest, and tiger skin wrapped around his waist. He had 4 arms and wielded a trident, axe, drum, and staff. He looked like a god and not a mortal. There was a third eye in his forehead. The churning red lotus karma fire shot out from there, causing everything to be incinerated into nothingness. Shiva's mythological path. Feng Lin mumbled seriously after a glance. Such a conspicuous appearance, it was hard for him to miss it even if he didn't want to recognize it. This was none other than the supreme god of destruction from India mythological system. Out of the 3 supreme gods, Shiva was undoubtedly number 1. The mythological path left behind by such a powerful god was undoubtedly also a paragon mythological path. As expected of the boss for the final level of the heaven-reaching pagoda. With such a powerful mythological path, mythological cultivators at the same cultivation realm would find it tough to be his opponent. Undoubtedly, this was an opponent that surpassed his wildest imagination. Feng Lin silently mused as the flames of battle intent shone in his eyes. Because a powerful opponent in the final battle, wasn't this what he wanted? Only a challenge of the most extreme could allow one to break through their limits. At this moment, he was looking at the surging karma fire emitted from the third eye of the interstellar Shiva path cultivator. This fire was capable of burning everything. Feng Lin's heart stirred as his heart monkey force gushed up, transforming into boundless light that swept out, wanting to cleave apart chaos, giving rise to the myriad of living creatures. The karma fire continued burning, transforming the newly created living creatures into nothingness. World creation, Genesis, and world destruction. For a time, the 2 of them were the god of creation and god of destruction in the creation myth. One was creating a world, the other was destroying it. The space between the 2 of them was fragmented, causing a stretch of chaos. Void holes would form from time to time, and the whole process was indescribable. Sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, seas, the myriad of things in heaven and earth were destroyed again and again as they were created. Everything entered a strange cycle of creation and destruction. Shiva Yoga. At this moment, the interstellar Shiva path cultivator finally moved. His body curled and shifted into a strange angle that defied common sense as he adopted a bizarre position. He was like a totem of one mind with the obscure and profound logic of the universe. His ineffable power suppressed the void. Destroy. His body curled into a position that resembled the Sanskrit word for destruction as he chanted profound words of truth. Shiva was the god of destruction, and he was also the god of yoga. The interstellar Shiva path cultivator adopted a posture as red lotus karma fire erupted, causing an ocean of fire to gush over violently. Endless transformations. Phong Lin wasn't willing to step back. His body shook as he transformed. A moment later, he had 3 heads and 6 arms. He transformed light into a sword, wanting to cleave apart the chaos. He also used a treasured pearl to calm the earth, fire, wind, and water, and he also swept out with his metal cudgel, using the ferocious gusts of the wind to engulf the boundless karma fire. Chaos, incineration, tremors. The interstellar Shiva path cultivator continued to adopt yoga poses as he accumulated the source energy from the universe, wanting to destroy everything. His movements flowed in a continuous chain and were like what the legends depicted. Before the world-ending apocalypse, Shiva would perform a world destruction dance. Everywhere he passed by, calamity struck, followed by endless destruction. Shiva possessed pure destructive power. There were no fancy tricks. Other than destruction, it was destruction. For a time, Phong Lin transformed continuously and employed all sorts of methods. However, everything he tried was useless. The great Tao is simple. As expected, before extreme strength, all sorts of fanciful transformations are useless. Phong Lin's eyes flashed with the light of wisdom. Since that's the case. He drew in a deep breath and all the transformations dissipated into the air. He regained the form of a normal human and held his cudgel in his hand. Mere mortal, do you finally understand the difference between you and me? The interstellar Shiva path cultivator coldly laughed, yet he had no intention to show mercy and continued to use his yoga-style attack. The boundless karma fire swept over. Everywhere it passed by, everything was reduced to nothingness. The flames shot over from all directions. Do you know a move that can penetrate the sky? Phong Lin wasn't shocked or angry, and he just laughed in a light voice. What? Before the interstellar Shiva path cultivator could react, he saw a metal cudgel rapidly expanding before his eyes. A burst of golden light flashed. The figure of a person could be seen leaping into the air. Its body curved like a bow as it abruptly swung the cudgel with both hands, aiming skywards. It appeared slow, but the force generated was incomparably heavy, causing the surrounding space to distort. Augmentation effect of the heart monkey. For an instant, Phong Lin didn't care for anything else and channeled all his genetic power into his cudgel. Are you not the destruction itself? Let's compare whose destructive force is stronger. Strength 10x, 100x, 1000x. Under the frenzied reinforcement of the genetic power, his cudgel rapidly grew larger and became the size of a heavenly pillar. Everywhere it passed by, the myriad of living things was destroyed. What red lotus boundless karma fire, burning all living things? What universe apocalypse, turning everything in the world into nothingness? What Shiva Yoga's destruction, transforming the heavens and earth into dust? This cudgel was then the epitome of complete annihilation. There was no trace of concealment. Phong Lin no longer delayed when fighting his opponent. He wanted to gain victory in a single stroke. All his heart monkey force was channeled into his cudgel, and the strength it contained was enhanced to the max. This cudgel strike swung toward the heavens. It emitted a might that could destroy the world and caused Shiva to feel his heart trembling when he sensed it. How is this possible? How can there be a second person in this universe that possessed the power of destruction? Shiva inclined his head and stared at the cudgel strike that had enough power to destroy even the sky. His facial expressions contorted, and he didn't dare to believe this. Pa. At the next instant, the cudgel blasted over with overwhelming might, with no sound at all. Only formless ripples could be felt spreading outward as everything that came in contact with the ripples transformed into dust. The loudest sound is silence, the largest object has no form. In silence. At the next instant, the void broke and a large hole appeared, causing the shine from constellations and resplendent glow of the Milky Way to shine in. That cudgel that was as large as a heavenly pillar penetrated the entire heaven-reaching pagoda. The universe and the outside world appeared before the eyes of everyone. What? The vacuum outside and the pressure in the heaven-reaching pagoda caused all objects to be blown out. That interstellar Shiva path cultivator could no longer maintain his lofty attitude and was tumbling through the air, as he got forced out into space, disappearing in the blink of an eye. It was unknown where he was blasted to. What? He truly won. He won against the king of the heaven-reaching pagoda, interstellar Shiva path cultivator. The god of destruction was defeated by destructive force. Sounds of discussion instantly rang out within the heaven-reaching pagoda, and all the places in the universe where they were watching this battle. Genetic potential plus 5,000, plus 5,500, plus 6,000. His potential continued to surge up and soon reached the max. Hence, Feng Lin continued to add points. Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene plus 1, Dao Fruit Gene plus 1. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality Stat, 1,680,000. Xiantian Genes, Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene x10, Dao Fruit Gene x10. Hotian Genes, Sun Wukong Gene x10, Cultivation Gene x10. Genetic Potential 12,000. He finally maxed out the Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene and Dao Fruit Gene. Feng Lin sensed that his body was full of strength. In an instant, his mind, soul, and vitality was upgraded to the max and had broken through a certain boundary, reaching an unfathomable realm. What is he doing? Why is he not saying anything even after a while? A new pagoda clearer. What is he going to do next? Countless gazes turned over, filled with incomparable curiosity. After that, they saw this mysterious pagoda clearer cast a glance at the surroundings before laughing in a low voice. At the next instant, under the eyes of everyone, his figure dispersed into light and shadow, vanishing. There was only a golden rainbow arcing through the distance in the universe. The speed of the golden rainbow was extremely fast. It warped time and space and disappeared completely. Gone. He simply left. Also, they discovered to their amazement that this spirit slayer was traveling through space without a spacecraft. He was simply flying through depending on the power of his body. What cultivation realm was that? A god? Countless gazes quickly chased after the golden rainbow that was moving as fast as lightning. Everyone felt a sense of disappointment, frustration, and also fascination. Chapter 520, Preaching Tao on Earth, Finale. A.C. Year 9996. Astronomic Calendar. On the mother planet Earth, numerous flying shuttles arced through the skies. The flourishing technology, even in the backward remote region of the universe, the solar system, was now extraordinarily developed. The opening of Earth High School was here again. Students who were filled with longing for the future began to head to their respective classes. 6 years ago, this was an old school ranked at the bottom. But after producing an absolute genius, they overturned their situation and became one of the peak cultivation colleges on Earth. It was said that the absolute genius was now extremely famous in the universe, and his deeds caused a large number of interstellar universities to come to this backward and desolate mother planet of humanity. This was especially so for that genius's alma mater, his high school. It attracted plenty of people. Then, these interstellar universities had also found quite a few good seedlings. From then on, the students on Earth came to a common understanding. As long as they could enter Earth High School, it meant that they had the hope to explore the universe. Feng Lin, born to the Feng clan. Through his self-created mythological path, He became the first person in Earth High School to join one of the 10 Cosmos universities. Also, he rose to the top with miraculous speed and has already become one of the major characters in the universe. You all have to remember that the reason why all of you have the opportunity to enter Earth High School is because of this senior. There was a gigantic human-shaped sculpture before the students. It had a robust appearance, as though it was one of the stone sculptures of the gods in the ancient era. The sculpture's eyes were staring up at the starry space, reflecting countless stars. Beneath the feet of the sculpture, on a stage, the headmaster was currently giving the first lecture to these new students. Outside, there were also countless people watching the ceremony. Staring at the expressions of the students that were filled with longing for the future, the headmaster nodded in satisfaction. Just when he was speaking excitedly, he abruptly swept his gaze and discovered that at the front of the crowd, an extremely familiar-looking figure was currently moving in the opposite direction. This figure, and the appearance of the stone sculpture of the school. They were the same. In the decorated house, a kind-looking woman was currently tidying the house. This was a simple job, but her face was filled with smiles and happiness. "Mom, quickly make breakfast. I'm so hungry I could die." Two grumbling voices could be heard. A moment later, a pair of twins rubbed their eyes and walked out. "You guys are so old now, yet you are like two lazy worms." The woman chided and grumbled. "In the future when you guys grow older, how are you all going to feed yourselves?" "We still have an elder bro." "That's right. Elder brother is so awesome, he is a major character in the universe. With him around, the clan wouldn't dare to treat us unfairly." The young twins giggled. "Sigh, you guys." As the woman sighed, her eyes suddenly narrowed. She then ran to the window and peered out. There was a strange look on her face. This was clearly a building that was over 80 stories tall. She didn't know if she was in an illusion or what, but earlier, she clearly saw a familiar-looking figure standing outside. However, that figure has disappeared now. When humans get old, we would easily see illusions. The woman smiled self-mockingly. Her eyes couldn't help but turn to the boundlessly far starry space. Was that son whom she personally brought up currently in the distantly far universe? He even became a major figure so powerful that the number of them could be counted on one's hands. It was unknown why, but it felt like a dream. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. There was a majestic and lofty mountain that resembled a pillar of heaven. It was located on a vast land, and it was also known as the third pole of the world. This was the #1 mountain on Earth. The environment here was vile, and even though it was the interstellar era, this wasn't a place ordinary people could get close to. Today, on the snowy mountain, a figure clad in an unlined garment appeared. However, he didn't feel cold at all. It was as though he was walking in the spring wind. This figure was none other than the one who had cleared the heaven-reaching pagoda and returned after using the somersault cloud to travel the universe, Feng Lin. His genetic potential's growth broke through his limits. He entered a realm that was even higher than the Grand Adept realm. This was an unprecedented cultivation realm. No one had stepped into it before. He seemed to have shaken free of life's restraint and possess boundless possibilities. Yet, he still seemed to be extremely far away from the level of true gods. If he cultivated normally step by step, even if his life had ended, he wouldn't be able to reach the other shore. Strength 10x, 100x, 1000x. Under the frenzied reinforcement of the genetic power, his cudgel rapidly grew larger and became the size of a heavenly pillar. Everywhere it passed by, the myriad of living things was destroyed. What Red Lotus boundless karma fire, burning all living things? What universe apocalypse, turning everything in the world into nothingness? What Shiva Yoga's destruction, transforming the heavens and earth into dust? This cudgel was then the epitome of complete annihilation. There was no trace of concealment. Feng Lin no longer delayed when fighting his opponent. He wanted to gain victory in a single stroke. All his heart monkey force was channeled into his cudgel, and the strength it contained was enhanced to the max. This cudgel strike swung toward the heavens. It emitted a might that could destroy the world and caused Shiva to feel his heart trembling when he sensed it. How is this possible? How can there be a second person in this universe that possessed the power of destruction? Shiva inclined his head and stared at the cudgel strike that had enough power to destroy even the sky. His facial expressions contorted, and he didn't dare to believe this. Pa. At the next instant, the cudgel blasted over with overwhelming might, with no sound at all. Only formless ripples could be felt spreading outward as everything that came in contact with the ripples transformed into dust. The loudest sound is silence, the largest object has no form. In silence. At the next instant, the void broke and a large hole appeared, causing the shine from constellations and resplendent glow of the Milky Way to shine in. That cudgel that was as large as a heavenly pillar penetrated the entire heaven-reaching pagoda. The universe and the outside world appeared before the eyes of everyone. What? The vacuum outside and the pressure in the heaven-reaching pagoda caused all objects to be blown out. That interstellar Shiva path cultivator could no longer maintain his lofty attitude and was tumbling through the air, as he got forced out into space, disappearing in the blink of an eye. It was unknown where he was blasted to. What? He truly won. He won against the king of the heaven-reaching pagoda, interstellar Shiva path cultivator. The god of destruction was defeated by destructive force. Sounds of discussion instantly rang out within the heaven-reaching pagoda, and all the places in the universe where they were watching this battle. Genetic potential plus 5,000, plus 5,500, plus 6,000. His potential continued to surge up and soon reached the max. Hence, Feng Lin continued to add points. Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene plus 1, Dao Fruit Gene plus 1. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality Stat, 1,680,000. Xiantian Genes, Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene x10, Dao Fruit Gene x10. Hotian Genes, Sun Wukong Gene x10, Cultivation Gene x10. Genetic Potential 12,000. He finally maxed out the Chaotic World Demonic Monkey Gene and Dao Fruit Gene. Feng Lin sensed that his body was full of strength. In an instant, his mind, soul, and vitality was upgraded to the max and had broken through a certain boundary, reaching an unfathomable realm. What is he doing? Why is he not saying anything even after a while? A new pagoda clearer. What is he going to do next? Countless gazes turned over, filled with incomparable curiosity. After that, they saw this mysterious pagoda clearer cast a glance at the surroundings before laughing in a low voice. At the next instant, under the eyes of everyone, his figure dispersed into light and shadow, vanishing. There was only a golden rainbow arcing through the distance in the universe. The speed of the golden rainbow was extremely fast. It warped time and space and disappeared completely. Gone. He simply left. Also, they discovered to their amazement that this spirit slayer was traveling through space without a spacecraft. He was simply flying through depending on the power of his body. What cultivation realm was that? A god? Countless gazes quickly chased after the golden rainbow that was moving as fast as lightning. Everyone felt a sense of disappointment, frustration, and also fascination. Now, he stood at the peak of the Himalayas and gazed into the distance. All of a sudden, he felt extremely blessed, like even his soul was illuminated. Although the Himalayas were almost 10,000 meters tall, it only became so due to the accumulation of grains upon grains of soil. Accumulating drops of water into the sea, accumulating grains of sand into a mountain. The strength of one person was limited, but what about the strength of the multitude of living things? Since this was the case, Feng Lin inclined his head and stared at the sky above. His gaze seemed to penetrate through the boundless distance of the universe. He saw the Huaxia Star Republic, he saw the Great Wall University, he saw every living being in the Milky Way galaxy and the dark universe outside the star system. There's no path ahead, I don't know when I would be able to reach the other shore. As a lone boat, it is tough for me to cross this river. But if I used the multitude of lives as a bridge, I would be able to cross over and reach the other shore. Since this is the case, let me open up this world's cultivation. With this thought in mind, all the fiber of his being gave rise to a single intention in his heart. After that, Feng Lin slowly spoke, the mythological genes were passed down from ancient times. In the current era, no one has ever seen an immortal or a god. I will open up a new path for this world and continue with the 3000 Daos. Silver light shot out from the center of his brows. His spirit force shook as his voice was limitlessly disseminated, echoing out loud in the hearts of everyone. On Earth, in the solar system, in the Milky Way galaxy. In an instant, countless people inclined their heads as a scene appeared before their eyes. A figure sat on the highest peak, overlooking the multitude of lives from the clouds. It's him. It's him, Feng Lin. It's him. The Spirit Slayer. Countless sounds echoed in different areas, but the gazes of everyone were fixed on that figure and his voice reverberated in their hearts, containing the true essence of the mythological genes. Pangu creates the world, chaos was like an egg. Pangu sat within 108,000 tears before splitting it into the heavens and earth. Yang, which was light and pure, rose and became the sky. Yin, which was heavy and turbid, sank and became the earth. Pangu was between them. There are 9 changes in a day. Gods belonged to the heavens, and saints belonged to earth. The distance between them grew by 1 zang every day with the growth of Pangu. And after 108,000 years, the world began to form. Genesis. In the beginning, God created the world. The earth was waste and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. God said, "Let there be light." Hence, there was light. After seeing that light was formed, he created darkness. God said that light belonged to the morning, and darkness belonged to the night. There was now morning and night, and they came together in a cycle which was called a day. Creation myth of the world, heaven and earth were muddled up, the world was pitch-black chaos. All life in the world was silently nurtured in this stretch of chaos, including the eternal gods. The first life form born was Mother Earth Gaia, she was boundlessly vast and possessed unlimited might. She nurtures those lives that were growing on her body. Huaxia, the West, Greece, all the myths and legends that had been lost were now being circulated by Feng Lin, revealing the divine secrets of ancient times. For a time, the eyes of everyone in all corners of the universe were staring at the sky. They were in an intoxicated state as they listened. Genetic potential plus 10,000, plus 10,000, plus 10,000. Spirit force, boundless spirit force that included the strength of everyone gathered over. When everybody gathers fuel, the flames are higher. He felt that his own spirit was pushed to a higher dimension, allowing him to surpass the boundary of life. His entire being formed a tight connection with the ground beneath his feet, the mountains, rivers, seas, skies, and the entire planet. I exist in your heart, you exist in mine. There's no distinction between you and me. His spirit force melded with earth. In this place, no one would be able to defeat him. I'm invincible in the world. From now on, Earth is my territory. Even now, the unceasing flow of spirit force gushed over, enveloping him and pushing him up to an even higher realm. As the legends and myths of ancient times spread through the world again, he, the person who expounded the wisdom of ancient sages, received an unbroken flow of spirit force from all living things. He was rapidly evolving. This speed wasn't something that could be compared by others. Borrowing force from the winds, allowing myself to reach the clouds. Feng Lin knew that the end of this path was godhood. And what he had to do was wait. when the quantitative changes were sufficient and triggered a qualitative transformation. That day, seas would turn into mulberry fields. He would even be able to shift the stars. That day would be the day where he reached the other shore. Flowers bloomed and flowers withered, the passing of time, the long rivers, everything was like a dream. He sat alone on the mountain peak, enduring boundless loneliness and desolation. A new era had arrived in the mortal world. Fong Lin's gaze was still staring at the other shore. It seemed to be right in front of his eyes, but was in actuality extremely far. He waited, and waited. This gaze of his was eternity. The audiobook has ended.